Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Kaitlyn Dobrow, and today I am going to be doing my first ever Halloween makeup tutorial, and this is also my first voiceover too, so that's kind of exciting. So today I am going to show you guys how to paint your face to look like a glamorous cheetah. There's going to be glitter and bronzer and all that good stuff, so let's get right into it. Okay, so you guys have no idea how actually proud of myself, ridiculously proud of myself I am right now. I, for one, remembered a headband. If you guys know me, I always forget a headband. But yeah, get a headband. Okay, so first things first, I'm going to take this Mehron Paradise palette, which I got off of Amazon, so I'll link it down below so you guys can get it too. And this is a water-activated face paint, so I just dip my brush in some water. You can also add a few drops of water onto the actual color in the palette instead, but I just chose to dip my brush. So I'm mixing the brown, yellow mustardy color and that white to make that perfect yellowy cheetah color. And to mix those colors together and apply it on my face, I'm using this liquid foundation brush that I got at Sephora, and please ignore the dirtiness. I have not had any time to wash my brushes. I am sorry. So after a couple attempts at finding that perfect yellow color, I finally found one that satisfied me, and I'm applying that all over my face in patting motions because I added too much water, which made the paint super streaky, but using that patting motion made it a lot more opaque. And I'm just putting the paint mixture all over my upper lip and just a little bit on the bottom of my nose. We will cover the entire nose later on in the video though. Now I'm just adding it all over my forehead, and throughout this process you will see that sometimes I mix in just a little bit too much brown or yellow, but in the end it doesn't really matter because we're going to put a lot of layers of this paint on our face so it all blends together into one giant cohesive yellow color. And now I'm just sculpting out my brows and adding some underneath my eyes. And since I'm not using an eyelid primer to nude out the color in my lid, I'm just brushing the paint over them instead. You can add an eyelid primer if you want to, I just chose not to. Now I'm just adding that all over my nose, even underneath where my nostrils are. I'm also putting that all over my lips as well. And I'm also blending that paint into my hairline. And adding just a little bit on my earlobe. And lastly, I'm adding it to my jawline, down my neck, and filling in some spots that I missed or just that weren't opaque enough for me. And off camera I painted farther down my neck and added many layers of yellow paint to my face, which in the end the yellow actually turned more of a gold color, which I am not mad at all. Okay, now that we're done painting our faces, I'm going in with this dry beauty blender to make the paint look as smooth as possible and blend in more with my skin rather than it looking like it's just sitting on top of my face. And I also paid more attention to my under eye. I wanted that part to be blended out extremely well. I'm not exactly sure why, but I just did. Next, I'm going in with this Lorac Mercier Loose Translucent Setting Powder, and I'm applying that all over my face using this Sigma F15 Duo Fiber Powder Blush Brush. And as you guys can tell, I am adding a lot of this powder to my face, but this stuff keeps my regular foundation on for like ever, so I'm hoping it will also keep this face paint on for a long time as well. And this powder actually clung onto the paint in some weird random places like my chin and upper lip. I tried brushing it off, but over time the extra powder just kind of dissolved and disappeared into the face paint. I know, it's super weird. But anyways, I'm just applying that powder all over my face and even on my eyelids at one point just to set that paint that I added on them earlier. And just a late FYI, don't wear a shirt that you like while doing this makeup look. I made that mistake. Okay, now we're going to take a break from the face and start on the lips and nose. For the lips, I'm going to use this Kat Von D Everlasting Lipstick in Witches, and yes, literally every makeup product I own is covered in some other type of makeup product, so let's just ignore that fact. Okay, to start with the lips, I'm applying that liquid lipstick only to the inner parts of my lips, and I didn't want the lipstick to be super opaque at this moment. I kind of wanted the lips to look a little faded, so after every application, which was only about 3, I rubbed my lips together. I also did not add more product onto the wand for every application. I just used what I had from the original dip into the product. And when I went to pick up the liquid lipstick, I accidentally got some of that loose powder on my lips, but that actually helped contribute to the faded look in the end, so that was actually pretty awesome. Yay for discovering things. And just to add an ombre effect on the lips, I'm going back into that Mehron Paradise palette and I'm dipping into that black. And to apply that color, I'm using this brush that came in that Mehron palette as well. I'm adding that paint on the inner parts of my lips, but I won't drag it out as far as I did the liquid lipstick. I'm literally just focusing on that inner part this time. Okay, now that the base of the lips are done, I'm going to start doing the outline of my cheetah nose. I'm using the same brush and the same product. The first thing I'm going to do is make a simple line going down my nose right in between where my nostrils are. Next, I'm outlining the bottom of the tip of my nose. And after I made that line, I'm dragging that out just a little bit over the top of my nostril. And I'm going to drag that up a little bit and feather it out to give it that separated nose look that cats and dogs have. Now I'm connecting all the lines together so it makes this Y shape, and I'm also darkening up that line that goes down the middle of my nose. And after I'm done darkening up that line, I drag it all the way down to my Cupid's bow, and I go over it a couple times just to make it darker, thicker, and to straighten out that line a bit. No worries though if it's not straight at all, this is just the outline. Throughout this tutorial, we're going to be touching up and adding to the nose and lips as we go. Look, I'm totally checking myself out. Oh my god. Anyways, now I'm just connecting that line to our lips, and I'm drawing little upside down U's to help it flow more in connecting the two and to create the lip shape that I want. Now I'm connecting those U shapes to the lip line that I made previously. You could stop here, darken up, and sharpen the lines if you wanted to, but I'm going to add more to it later on in the video. And I realized I wanted to make my nose look like it had more of a separation to it, so I'm pulling that paint forward to create that illusion. And off camera I colored in all around my nostrils and connected the bottom part of the nose to that line that connects to our lips. Later on in the video I touched the nose up, so you'll be able to see how to do it yourself. Now for my favorite part, the eyes. I'm going in with this blending brush from the Urban Decay Naked 2 palette. And I'm going to use this Lorac Trio palette called Superstar, and I'm going to add that darkest brown color into the crease. Once I started blending the brown into the crease, I realized it turned a gross gray muddy color, which I'm thinking is most likely because my lid is already yellow. So instead I went into this Coastal Scents palette, and I'm going to use this reddy orangey brick color. And I'm sorry for the bad lighting guys, my bad. So I'm putting that into my crease on top of that brown I didn't like, and this color worked out really well. Even though the yellow base changed this brick color slightly, I still really liked it. So I'm going to blend that color out and smooth out all the edges so there are no harsh lines. Okay, now that I'm done blending out that shadow, I'm going in with this cute little What's Up highlighter by Benefit, and I'm applying this without a brush. I'm just going straight onto my lid with that product and really packing that on because I want it to be as opaque and as shiny as possible. I'm also popping that highlighter in my inner corner as well. And again, I'm just focusing that on my lid, trying to avoid getting any of this highlighter on my crease, which didn't work out very well, but we'll fix that up later. Now I'm just taking that Naked 2 palette brush again, but this time I'm using that flat shadow side. And I'm just patting out that What's Up on my lid rather than brushing back and forth because I don't want the product to move around. I just want it evened out, so the patting motion worked best for me. And going back into that same brush, but switching back to the blending side, I'm going back into that crease with no extra product to blend out that highlighter that was not supposed to be there. And again, going back into that Lorac palette, but this time I'm using the lightest shade, which is actually a frosty pink tan color. And I'm just going to pack that color all over my lid. And again, just blending out my crease because I accidentally got some of that light shadow in my crease again. Now I'm going in with the matte black. You can literally use any matte black you have. I'm just using the same Coastal Scents palette that I used previously. And make sure you tap off your brush before applying this black to your eye because just, yeah. So I'm carefully adding that black into the crease in a tapping motion with that flat shadow brush, making sure I don't get any black on my lid, and it kind of looks like I'm making a cut crease, but I'm totally not. This is going to be a super smoky look, so in a bit we're going to blend this out like no tomorrow. I also pulled the shadow in towards my inner corner, but I didn't go all the way in. And now I'm dragging that black shadow up into that brick shade. Okay, now time to blend out this black color for what's going to seem like forever until it seamlessly blends into that brick color. And this is going to take a while, so I'm going to lightning speed through this part. Lightning speed, activate. Oh god, I'm so weird. Okay, now that that black is all blended out, I'm going back into that brick color and I'm adding that to my top lid next to the black, but focusing more inward if that makes any sense. I am also blending that color into the black as well, and at first I didn't like the way this looked. I actually felt a little bit like Harley Quinn, so I thought I totally ruined this look, but that yellow base pulled through for me, and that mixture of that red, black, and yellow made it look a little purple, but I didn't notice that until later on in the video, but either way I was so stoked about that. Okay, yay! We're finally to the glitter part. The glitter I'm using is from Make It Forever. It's the multicolored silver. It's so pretty! Oh god, that was creepy. Anyways, I'm adding that to my lid with the Naked 3 palette brush. Again, using that flat side, and with every application I wet my brush with just the tiniest bit of water. Honestly, that didn't work well, but it worked well enough for it to stick some to my lid. And for some reason, I totally forgot about my Urban Decay setting spray. Like, seriously, Kaitlyn? Like, come on. Really? Come on. Ugh. But besides that sad fact, it If you have a setting spray, primer water, use anything else before you become me and use water. By the way, I'm sorry that you guys can't really see the process of the glitter being added onto my lid, but at the end of the video you'll be able to see the glitter in all of its awesomeness. But anyways, I packed this stuff on, like heaps and heaps of this stuff all over my lid until my entire lid was glitter. Literally, so satisfying. Okay, now I'm going to use the Sephora liquid eyeliner to start my wing. I wanted to create that cat winged eyeliner look, which I've never done before, so trying this now was probably not the smartest idea. I mean, this whole process wasn't all terrible, but if you're looking for someone to tell you how to make a perfect cat winged eyeliner, this is not it at all. But anyways, the wing itself turned out to be the complete opposite of what I was aiming for. It was super long and weird looking because for some reason, I think if I just add more to it, it'll eventually end up looking perfect. No. Like, if I would have stopped at this point, I would have been fine, but I'm stubborn and a perfectionist and I wanted the wing angled differently, so as usual, I just kept adding more to it. And somehow I ended up with this ridiculously long, monstrous wing. Like, really, Kaitlyn? Okay. Good job. But I really wanted to make this wing work, so I drew out a separate wing on top of the messed up wing where I wanted the original wing to be and how I'd rather it look. So after drawing my second wing, I went in with that brush from the Mehron palette and I dipped that in some water and I started removing parts that I didn't want. And the water that was on the Mehron brush removed not only my eyeliner, but also some of my face paint. So I went back into that Mehron Paradise palette and mixed up another yellow color and filled in the parts that were now regular skin color. And while I was filling in those blank spots, I decided to clean up my wing and shape it to how I wanted it to look in the first place. And bam! Awesome wing. Okay, next we're making some concealer. I'm using that Sephora foundation brush again, and I'm going back into that Mehron Paradise palette, and I'm recreating that original yellow skin tone, but this time I'm making the shade a lot lighter by adding more of that white into the mixture. And I know that adding concealer is not necessary, but I figured a cheetah can't be glamorous without some concealing and highlighting. So I'm just adding that mixture under my eyes, and I'm taking that all the way up to my wing to cover up that overly yellow part. I'm also making that V shape just like how I would with my normal concealer, and I'm getting as close to my lash line as possible. And I'm also highlighting my chin, forehead, and I'm taking that down my nose a bit. Okay, now that we're done highlighting, I'm going back in with my beauty blender and I'm going to blend out my chin, my forehead, and my nose. And I'm also getting under my eyes, but I'm mostly focusing on the edges because I wanted those two different yellows to blend together. But by this point, the paint was pretty much dry, so it wasn't very easy to have them blend together, like, at all. So I thought if I used this F15 Sigma brush, it would help blend those colors together better. And I mean, it kind of made some progress, but honestly barely any because the line was still pretty prominent. But don't worry, because once we add bronzer in the cheetah spots, that harsh line seems to fade into the background, but still try and blend out those edges as much as you can. Now to set that paint, I'm going back into that Laura Mercier translucent setting powder, and I'm adding that underneath my eyes. And this powder actually helped to make that harsh line not look so harsh anymore, so yay! And when I realized that, I couldn't help but to add more powder onto that line and blend for my life until I couldn't blend anymore. Okay, yay! Now that that part is done, I did my other eye off camera, and it's so pretty. I also touched up my wing a little bit. I made the tail a tad longer and sharper. Okay, now I'm touching up and darkening my nose and lips, and I didn't explain how to do this part of the nose earlier in the video, so I'll explain it now. Okay, so first I drew a Y shape coming from the bottom of my nostril and connecting that to that main line that goes down to our lips. And I'm only dragging that down about 1/3 of the way. And then start filling / coloring in that Y shape so it ends up being an upside down triangle, and you should end up with something that looks like this. Next I colored in / thickened that line that's in between our nostrils, and ultimately ending up connecting that to our first Y shape that's on the tip of our nose. And while you're there, darken that Y up and shape how you want the tip of your nose to be. I wanted mine to look round, so I drew a very shallow upside down C. And lastly, I went a little bit into my nostrils and followed the outline of them, and I slightly brushed the eyeliner on the outside of my nose / nostrils into a C shape, connecting them to the Y and the upside down triangle. Okay, now just darken up, fix or straighten up any lines that need fixing, and now you're done with your nose! Yay! Okay, now I'm just darkening up my lips with that Kat Von D liquid lipstick and the black Mehron paint as well, and I'm also smudging up my bottom lip while keeping my top lip crisp and sharp. And voila, now my lips are all filled in and pretty. Next, I'm going into my Urban Decay Naked Flush palette in the shade Naked, and I'm adding tons of that bronzer to my cheeks, like tons of it, heaps of it, until I'm satisfied. And I'm also mixing that highlighter that's in that palette as well with the bronzer, so I glow. I'm also adding this bronzer highlighter mix to my forehead and temples, and I'm also adding the tiniest bit under / on my jawline. Now I'm going back into that Coastal Scents palette, and I'm mixing these two yellowy white shimmery colors to make my upper lip look more like animal lip pad things. I'm not sure what you call those things, but those things. So I'm applying those shades with a Sephora eyeshadow brush right onto my upper lip in a circular motion, so it creates a roundish shape, and then feather out the edges so it blends in with the yellow base. That's a cute face. And again, these colors are shimmery, so it has a highlighting effect to it, so I added it in between my eyes and dragged it partway down my nose. Next, I'm going back into that Sephora liquid eyeliner, and I'm adding those whisker freckles to our highlighted lip pads. And I start off by putting 3 dots in a row just to map out where I want the freckles to begin. And then I just start adding them all over my upper lips. And for the last time, I'm darkening and fixing up my lips. I honestly didn't want to add more to my lips, but I messed up, so I just rounded out the upper part of my lips to fix my mistake. And I ended up with it looking like this. Not bad. We finally made it to the cheetah spots, yay! To create those cheetah spots, I'm using the Sigma E05 eyeliner brush, and I'm using the black paint in the Mehron Paradise palette as well. Okay, so the first cheetah spot I'm going to make is just a classic cheetah spot. The first thing I did was I started drawing a curved line, and while I was drawing that, I slightly wiggled my brush back and forth. And right across from the first line, I repeated that step and created a second wiggly line. And then in between those two lines to finish off that spot, I drew a third wiggly line. And that's the classic cheetah spot. Another option you have is to draw a single C shape, and again, wiggle your brush back and forth. And the last cheetah spot that I know how to do is a full circle, and of course, again, wiggle your brush back and forth. And just to fill in some space, you can add a simple dot here and there. Now repeat those steps in any order and add them all over your face. You can choose to put them anywhere you like, but I chose to put them all over my cheeks, my forehead, and down my neck a little bit. And I also added some spots onto my earlobes, in my hairline, and some going quote-unquote through my eyebrows. And just an FYI, the wetter your paint is, the easier it is to draw those spots out, and they also look better too, so yeah. And if you mess up, don't worry, you can squiggle over any mistake and make it look like it never even happened. And then you're done with your cheetah spots, yay! Okay, now to fill in those spots. I'm using the eyeshadow brush that I use for my lip pads, and I'm using a Brownie Ready eyeshadow color. And I'm just filling in the classic cheetah spots and the C shapes. And lastly, literally lastly, I'm so excited. Off camera, I did my brows, mascara, added glitter into my inner corner and bottom lash line. I added white eyeliner to my waterline and added gold into some of those cheetah spots. And you guys, we did it! The look is done! It is complete! I hope you guys enjoyed my first ever Halloween makeup tutorial. All the products that I use will be linked down below, including the brushes and music. I hope you guys have an awesome Halloween, and if you do this look, tag me in it on Instagram or Twitter. I want to see your version of this cheetah look. And stay safe this Halloween, and bring me all your candy so I can grub on it all night long. Love you guys. Bye!